So this is going to be UFC 280 predictions and a preview from me. I'm going to make a secondary channel. I will post it, link it, and promote it within the next upcoming days or the next week. I will take this video, the Andrew Tate video, and another video I'm going to make, and I'll put it on that channel. That way I can keep things separated to a degree. Also, I think I've been shadow banned on this channel. I could be wrong, but it is what it is. So UFC 280 is in 2 days, Saturday, October 22nd. The main event is Charles Oliveira versus Islam. Co-main event is Aljo versus TJ Dillashaw. And then you have Peter Yan versus Sean O'Malley. Then you have, these are the only ones I'm covering. Darush versus, I don't even know how to pronounce that fucking guy's name. Gamont. So, the main portion of this video is going to be talking about the main 3 fights. I do believe Darush is going to win, and then he will be put in line for a title fight somewhere in 2023. However, Peter Yan and Sean O'Malley is a very interesting fight. I think Yan is probably the best, I'm going to say the most well-rounded bantamweight on the UFC roster. So, it would be him or Dillashaw, in my opinion. But I do think Sean O'Malley is going to beat Yan. I genuinely do. I think O'Malley's striking is very crisp and nice. And I do think that his ground game is underrated. And I also think the reach is going to play a big factor. So my prediction for that fight is I believe O'Malley gets a TKO in the 3rd round. I do. So then you move on to the co-main event, which is Aljamain Sterling versus TJ Dillashaw for the Bantamweight Championship. This one's kind of tough to call because Aljo is a phenomenal fighter. He's well-rounded. He gets a lot of shit because of the knee he took from Yan in the first fight. However, in my opinion, he redeemed himself in the second fight. I think Sterling does himself no favors by some of the bullshit that comes out of his mouth. He tries way too hard. And it kind of makes him look goofy, in my opinion. He's his own worst enemy. If he'd just quit talking or pick his words better, he'd probably be a fan favorite. But unfortunately, he's not. But that does not even matter because I believe TJ Dillashaw, he's had one fight in how many years? It was against Corey Sandhagen. He beat Sandhagen in a pretty close fight. Gets a title shot. I don't believe it's almost been a year, I believe, since that fight happened. So, TJ Dillashaw is my favorite bantamweight ever. He's one of my favorite fighters on the UFC roster. And I do think TJ Dillashaw gets this done. I think he's going to TKO him. I think he's either going to TKO him in the early 4th round or he gets a decision over Sterling. So, the main event is the one I'm most excited about because I believe that it is being misinterpreted, probably on purpose to sell some pay-per-views, but nonetheless it is. You have Charles Oliveira, who has beat the who's who in the lightweight division. Not only beat them, but finished them. Except for Ferguson. So he beats Tony Ferguson. Then he goes on and beats Michael Chandler. Then he beats Dustin Poirier. Then he beats Justin Gaethje in spectacular fashion, every single one of them. Those 4 right there. And of course, he had a run going before then. The last time he lost a fight was in 2018, but I could be wrong. It might actually be 2017. It's one of those two. I think it is 2017. Has not lost a fight since then. Has looked spectacular, and in my opinion, is right up there with being the greatest lightweight of all time. There's only 3 names, in my opinion, you can even discuss when you're talking about the greatest lightweight ever, and that is Charles Oliveira, that's Khabib, and that's Frankie Edgar. And people will, for nostalgia's sake, will throw BJ Penn in there. Fair point. I'm just saying, In their primes, he lost to Jens Pulver. Frankie Edgar beat him twice in their prime, then destroyed him when they both were not in their prime. So it's hard for me to put. There's only a small window that you could say BJ was phenomenal and the greatest lightweight, and that's a very small window. And then Frankie Edgar beat him, and after that, he was never the same. So the fact that Charles has been this dominant and has looked this impressive and has proved that he can take shots, he's obviously not afraid to go on the ground with anyone. And then you have Islam, who his biggest win to date is Dan Hooker, Bobby Green. And if you look at his record, there is some decently impressive names on there. But then if you take into account when they fought, the year they fought in, and the person that he beat is not the same person now as they were then. Like there's levels. Obviously, I'm not saying Islam's not improved as well, but that's all I'm saying. So, and people have got Charles as the underdog in this fight, which is very surprising to me because on the feet, it's undeniable who the better person is on the feet. Charles can knock him out. Fist, the hands are nice, the legs are nice, the feet are nice, the elbows are nice, the clinch is nice. He beats Islam anywhere this goes on the feet. The only place that Islam has a chance, in my opinion, of beating Charles is in the clinch or on the ground. However, Charles Oliveira is the best jiu-jitsu practitioner in the UFC right now, in my opinion. And if you want to dispute that, you cannot dispute he's top 3. So, I'm not entirely sure, Islam is not Khabib. And I'm not even sure Khabib could beat Charles. So, I do not think that these people that are predicting this and is saying Islam is going to murder him and it's not even going to be close and it's going to be he's going to get ragdolled, fully understand that or have thought this through. It's I'm not saying Islam cannot win that fight because he absolutely can win that fight. It's a fist fight. Anything can happen in a fight. But the probability of him actually pulling this off is very slim, in my opinion. I really think the only way Islam has to win this fight is a decision. And I do not see him winning the first 2 or 3 rounds. So he's going to have to, hope Charles gets tired and holds him down and they're too slippery for him to sink in a submission. That's the only way Islam wins, in my opinion. So in this one, I'm picking Charles Oliveira, 2nd round, TKO. And then he will go down in history, or probably not history. He will go down at the current moment as the greatest lightweight to ever step into the UFC octagon. And I sincerely hope Khabib sees this fight and then decides to come back. Because that's the fight I want to see. Everyone's saying that this is basically Charles versus Khabib, and it absolutely is not. Islam is not on the same level as Khabib or Charles, in my humble opinion. So, Saturday, Abu Dhabi. Check the time if you're watching it because the chances of it's not coming on in the night time. If you're in the United States, specifically here, it's not coming on at 10 o'clock. The prelims aren't starting at 7. These are starting early. Early in the day. I believe the prelims start at 10 or 11, and then the main card starts at 2, something of that nature. So Google it, it'll tell you. Put your predictions down below. This will be on a secondary channel soon. That secondary channel will mainly just be for me talking about UFC, video games, stuff going on out here in the world, me talking shit, etc. So, love you guys. It is a game of form and play of life. I'm here talking to you. And this is what we do. We create illusions, have an experience, tell stories, snap out of it, enter real life over here, and exit backwards ass shit show land, also known as the social matrix. So, I'm inviting you to take your mask off and do so with me. Love you.